get straight to it here. What do you think most business owners are missing out in their life? This seems to be kind of a topic that you feel passionate about. So share with us, what do you think?
Yeah, and what a big question to get started with. There's no softballs in this
No,
podcast,
straight
Eric.
to it.
It's I love it. It is an interesting. I've had the opportunity now to work with business owners through originally a company called Breakthrough Coach, and then we
Mm,
launched Rhapsody Strategies. That's 9 years. We just celebrated our ninth anniversary
wow.
a short time ago, and we work with all kinds of different business owners, small, medium, large, incredibly successful, mom and pop shops, you name it, and then
Yeah.
all kinds of executives on top of that. And it is interesting because when we launched our podcast around the Living
Yeah.
Richly model, it
Hmm.
came out of the notion that we saw all these incredibly successful business owners.
Mm,
They had achieved the things that they thought would bring contentment, happiness, joy, whatever word you want to use there,
hmm.
and yet we're feeling incredibly empty. We're
Mm,
feeling like, is this it? And that there was something missing. And so over time, as we continue to have these conversations, and I continue to have these conversations, one of the things that I discovered, it's most of the time what they, if they really were to narrow it down to kind of summarize it in the most simplest way,
okay.
what they're missing is true connection.
True connection.
They have built a business. They are surrounded by people who depend on them, who rely on them, who are connected to them via what they do more than connected to them around who they are. And true
Ooh, that's
connection
deep.
only comes through who we are, not what we do, because what we do can change. But business owners get so busy, they're so focused on running the day to day. Most of them are working way too many hours for way too little
Yeah.
profit. And so, in the midst of doing all this kind of stuff, they've kind of lost that place where they can express who they truly are,
Hmm.
and they're wearing their business owner hat all the time, and all of their interactions with people are on that level. And so, at the start, kind of at the heart of that, I think is the notion of true connection.
Yeah, I think that's deep. I mean, I think like you said, like I've seen it from our own clients and my own experience, people put their time and energy and effort into their business and then, maybe that financially it's successful, like it grows and there's revenue and all that kind of stuff, but then you lose track of who you as a person really are. And
Yeah.
then yeah, and when you lose track of that, you really lose track to like what is your actual happiness? Like who are you really and how do you fulfill your life? So that's
Well,
that's super deep. Yeah.
and Eric, with that, what starts to happen is, and I've seen this with so many business owners, if they take time off, if they take a
Mm,
vacation,
yeah.
many of them don't, but those that do will often do it because their significant other is either putting the pressure on that, hey, we need to go away, or the kids are driving them nuts and
Yeah.
they need to get away. But even when they're on vacation, they're
Mm.
checking their emails, they're responding to clients,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
not truly taken off. And it's almost like the sequence of the way I put it with some is, you basically, you don't own a business, the business owns you.
Mm. It
And
becomes an
so the reason
obligation
why
then. Yeah.
life is that sense of what's missing is they have become a slave to their business. And
Mm.
I've got two clients right now. One of them, as we speak, has
Mm.
just begun a 3-week vacation where
Three
they are
weeks. Wow.
completely disengaged. Now, we spent almost a year preparing for this,
Yeah. Yeah.
but they got finally to a point now where they're going to be, for the first time in their, since their business started, 3 weeks where they are, the only way they were able to manage to do this, they're going to check in twice
Mm.
to the person who is overseeing things while they're away. They're going to check in. They've got one scheduled for this week, and then one scheduled in another week and a half. Those two check-ins, and that's it. They're not even looking at their emails, and they're testing out, can I actually do this? And it excites me when they do that, because that's when you start to get back to, okay, who am I really? Who am I when I'm not being a business owner? And that's
Mm.
probably one of the most critical things that a person can do.
Yeah. And because a lot of people have been running their business for years, right? So they've forgotten what life was like before and who they were back then. And I'm glad you mentioned
Yeah.
like the whole spouse and kids, because it comes back to like family and really what truly really a lot of the motivators for people to even have a business and to do well is to support their family and do that, right? So yeah, that's really interesting.
Those that are maybe not that are not business owners who are listening to this episode, one of the things that they may not realize, being the owner of a business can be one of the most lonely things,
Oh man, for
because
sure.
you are carrying so much of a burden. You can't put that burden on your employees. You don't want to bring that burden home to your family. And
Yeah,
so they're carrying this burden, and people go, well, what's wrong with you? And they don't know how to express it. So I think that's the big thing is, and so I'll go back to that summary
yeah,
statement of true connection. If we
yeah,
can find a way to connect to people at that authentic level, there, it just releases so many things.
yeah. And how do you actually go back to who you are? Like how do you actually find, I'm going to say, your purpose, and how do you
Yeah.
live that out in your
Yeah.
experience?
Well, I think at the top of that list is you have to listen to the Living Richly podcast.
That's the
Sorry,
secret.
that was a shameless plug. It's why we launched what we launched, and what we were doing is to respond to that question. It's
Hmm.
how do you live your best life? How do you find what that is? And I think if I was going to give three kind of steps to doing that, the
Let's
first
do
one
it.
is you need to figure out what makes you kind of what makes you feel alive, what really kind of fires you up, what makes you passionate, what really just excites you. um, I think you need to be able to figure out, what do I value, what matters to me, what both with what gets me fired up, but also just what causes me to lean in on something versus not. And then I think
Mm,
a third element of that is find people who are already doing those things that fire you up,
right.
and follow them, connect to them,
Mm.
and if possible, ask them to mentor you. If it's somebody who's kind of beyond that scale of mentoring, read their books, lean into that